Most people believe it's hard to see the future, and I totally support that. But today we may have a different story because Bitcoin is trying to show us its future and what's going to happen next. And I'm here to show you this future. So stay tuned. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. This is King, your host, and today's video is for pure educational purposes. If it's your first time in the channel and you happen to like my content, please consider subscribing and smashing the like button because it really helps. You can also follow me on Twitter and Instagram, and I'll leave the links for you below. Let's look at the chart. So in order for us to see what the future is holding, we need to try and understand what pattern this chart is forming. After a very close look to Bitcoin, we can see that this piece over here, since Bitcoin reached its all-time low back in July, this piece over here is trying to replicate what happened in the previous period around here, in the previous correction. Now, if we take a copy of this previous pattern and reduce its size, and then try to put it on top of the current pattern, we will see that the current pattern is trying to replicate exactly what the price has done over here. We had an initial impulse, similarly we had it over here, and then a correction, that was a correction as well, and then the pattern was a copy and paste of exactly what happened around the period from April to July, all the way until the top. So if we take this previous pattern as a reference point, we can see that Bitcoin is trying to create a 5-wave corrective structure towards the downside. When it first corrected itself after its all-time high, it had an impulse down, a correction, another impulse, and then a correction, and then the last impulse before it started going up. Similarly, at the current period, we can see that we had an initial impulse, a correction, a second impulse, and now we are in the second correction, and then we'll have one more impulse down in order for the overall structure to be complete. And this is our first step of seeing the future and trying to tell what Bitcoin is going to do next. So if we go now to the 4 hours chart and try to take a closer look at this current structure, we will see, as I said before, that we are in the 4th wave of the structure and the second correction. So if we draw a trend line for this downtrend, we can clearly see that Bitcoin still has a little bit of correction left before it touches the trend line and drops down again. So the most likely scenario to happen is that we'll see more consolidation in the days to come until we touch this trend line, and this way we would have completed the 4th wave of the 5-wave structure, and at this point we will be dropping down. But now the important question is, how far down are we going to drop before continuing the uptrend? Now if we take the Fibonacci retracement level and plot it at the last impulse that we had at the trend, we can see that the 0.618 Fibonacci level stands around this support level over here. So the most logical scenario is that after we touch the trend line and drop down, the price is going to stop around this area. And this way we'll have the 5-wave structure complete, which is the W, X, Y, X, and Z. So before continuing any uptrend, we'll need to see the price going and touching these levels in order for the full structure to be complete, so that we can start thinking of a new uptrend. If we look at the previous structure, the bigger structure as well, we'll see that the price, when it formed its 5-wave structure, it actually went down to the same exact levels that I just marked in the previous chart, which are the yellow support area and the 0.618 Fibonacci level, before it continued its uptrend. So if history is going to repeat itself, and this piece is an exact replica of this piece over here, so we are going to see the price dropping down towards this level, touching the 0.618 Fibonacci level for the last impulse, before it continues its uptrend from here onwards. Now if we remove everything and go and try to look at the bigger picture, we would have formed an ABC corrective pattern that is a contracting flat, and this will be the overall correction for Bitcoin before continuing its uptrend. Now if we zoom out further to the beginning of this cycle, we'll see that Bitcoin has formed another similar correction to this one back around this period over here, and this was an ABC correction as well, but it was not a contracting flat similar to this one. This one was an expanding ABC flat, and this way the whole picture for Bitcoin becomes completely clear. So Bitcoin during this full cycle is forming a 5-wave structure, which started exactly over here on the 16th of December 2018, where it formed its first impulse, and then it did the first corrective flat and pulled back. Then it had a second impulse, and then it corrected itself doing the current pattern, which means that we still have one final and last impulse in order for us to complete the overall structure for Bitcoin. So if we remove the corrective waves, this is how the overall pattern for Bitcoin is going to look like this cycle. And this is my view of the current situation and the upcoming future for Bitcoin. So please let me know, what do you think? Tell me in the comments below. I would love to hear your opinion. And tell me about your favorite altcoins that you want me to cover and analyze in my next video. This was it for today, and until next video, stay safe and see you later.